Welcome to In My Mug. This week we're off to Kenya. Can you believe it? So this week we're off to Kiriga, a relationship that we've had with Brian now for the past, I want to say 5-6 years. It feels like longer. It feels like he's become a really good friend. Brian is kind of head of the family that own Kiriga, and he's really my main and only contact with the farm. But there are other siblings involved in the farm, which he inherited from his father. They all inherited from his father. It's a great example of an estate, which you don't see so much of in Kenya anymore. What happened was that there was a time where 50-50 would be cooperative and estate coffees. That's around about 25% estate now and 75% co-ops. And a lot of that is because urban growth. So a lot of the estates have been sold that were surrounding Nairobi to be set up as gated communities, to be built factories on, or just abandoned for other things such as warehousing and things like that, because there wasn't as much money in coffee. We've done something a little different this year. So the coffee that we normally buy is the AA. And AA is a screen size. So AA is the largest of the beans. And in the past, that would have presumed to be the best. And it presumed to be the best because that's all they really had to measure quality. Processing and selective picking and tasting the coffees wasn't so common. So bigger bean, better bean. That was the school of thought. And then you have AB, which is the next grade down. And AB is a slightly smaller screen size. So slightly smaller bean, still relative quality, still very much can be seen as specialty coffee. Then you have the Peabury. The Peabury is where there's 2 seeds in the cherry, but one of the seeds never formed, so it's just a single seed in the cherry, and it's quite round. Perceived in the past to be amazing. I don't know, I've had some amazing ones, I've had some awful ones, but again it comes down to the size of the bean. And then you have something called C grade. Now C grade is the smallest or smaller beans that are whole, so there's no brokens in there. They should be relatively clean. There shouldn't be blacks or defects in there, but it's the smaller of the grade. Now this is the stuff where coffee producers lose their money. So if you have AA, you will get a higher price for it at the Kenya auction, or in this case through a direct relationship. The AB, you will get more money at the auction than the cost of production, or to a buyer like me again. But the C, specialty buyers tend to not buy because they're like, oh, well, that's the poorer grade. So in a conversation with Brian this year, we sat down and he's like, hey, can we kind of do a little more for the farm? And he was like, well, would you try my C grade? And I was like, well, I've never tried it. So of course, always try something once, but twice is, not always recommended. But tried it, really liked it. Thought it was a super interesting coffee, and we bought a little bit of it this year that we're going to release a little later for you to try along the AA, the AB and the C as a tasting experience, so you can really understand the coffee. But let's go to Roland.
Do you know how sometimes you just sit there and think, what is the definition of a large animal vet? I wonder if anybody knows the answer. Roland, do you know the answer to what is the definition of a large animal vet?
Well, for Dr. Brian Gakunga, who owns Kiriga, he's a large animal vet, and he says it's anything bigger than a rhino.
Bigger than a rhino? Baby rhino or full-size rhino?
Full-size rhino.
Full-size rhino. Thanks, Roland.
Okay, so time for some tasting after Roland's pearls of wisdom. You remember that we've been asking for your hashtags, has-beens on Instagram and on the Twitter. Mainly the Instagrams though, please, because nobody checks Twitter anymore. And this week we've got Nudesy29, who has got a picture on there. And Nudesy worked out that what you needed to do was to put an In My Mug bag in there, and you would definitely get included. So let's get into the Kiriga. It's the Kiriga AB. AB being the one below AA and the one above C. Probably this year for me, one of the most delicious. Yeah, you can smell it, that it smells of blackcurrant. So like, just get your nose while you're brewing and smell. You can actually smell the blackcurrant flavours coming off it. This week I'm using a Chemex. I'm using a Chemex because I always use a Chemex because it's most possibly the best way to brew. And being the king of that kingdom, it's very important that I keep in. I occasionally visit other places as like a state visitor. You know, I get the all of the royal guards and the cannon shooting and everything, but I always go home to Chemex. Exciting story behind this one. Let's get into it. Ta-da! We're back. So while you were being fast forwarded, you may have seen me sneak into the cupboard. This was a hand in the cupboard, and we have a coffee cup mug sent to me by my friend Brian. Brian owns a cafe in Tulsa in Oklahoma called Double Shot. He also runs a podcast called Double A Cafe. And if you're a coffee geek, it's quite a good listen to. Interesting fact about Double Shot, Starbucks tried to sue them for using the term Double Shot as their title because their cold brew drink may be confused with a specialty coffee store in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's complicated, isn't it, this whole legal thing? Yeah, we're going to go into the cup. Now, Kenyans are very typically blackcurrant. Really good Kenyans are lots of blackcurrant. This is Blackcurrant City. This is blackcurrant with extra blackcurrant juice added to it. It's got a beautiful acidity to it, a really nice creamy finish on the end. Very sweet, very well balanced. I'm going to give this my favourite Kenyan of this year so far. It has been amazing. I've drank a lot of this at home. Every time there's been a test roast of it, I filled up a big bag and took it back home with me to drink. Kenyans are fantastic, and most roasters will love a Kenyan, just because of how different and distinct they are. And this is definitely a different and distinct coffee. I hope you're enjoying it at home. Thank you very much for joining me, as always. And do remember, life is too short for bad coffee. Honestly, six cups of coffee in 25 minutes. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. Yeah.